Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Build to Simplify AI podcast. Today, I am having Ritvika with me, who is not a data scientist but a AI lover at heart. Welcome, Ritvika, on the Build to Simplify AI podcast. I want to know how you are feeling today.
Thanks, Shreyans. Thank you for having me over. I am feeling very excited about this hackathon, this podcast, and all the cool things that Simplify AI in store.
Well, it's a really nice thing to know you love the hackathon concept. Hope you love the projects also you have seen with the from the participants.
Yeah, there are some really interesting, cool ideas, and I think that's sort of why I really like hackathons. Even going back to my college days, when I organized and even participated in hackathons, the idea was basically this, right? To uh, spark innovation in the young generation, to allow them to explore things. So it's really good to see how different problems they bring in and they solve. So, yeah.
Wow. So it means you really love what we are bringing on the table for the participants and even for the speakers. I really love knowing that you enjoyed it, the projects and all. So, as we all know, you are a brilliant mind behind data science projects of multiple clients, multiple companies. You are doing a great job right now. So, I really want to know more and more about how you get into this role from the very beginning and how it is going, how you are going to suggest someone to get into this role in today's scenario.
Yeah. I think even before this podcast, you asked me this question, and generally, as I mentioned, one of the factors was definitely um how how the job market and like the general acceptance and curiosity towards hiring, etc. is. So I will not really comment on that particularly, but I can share my journey. Um, for me, it was honestly not really about getting a job. It was always like a very typical PCM student. It was always about getting into IITs, and that's sort of where it started. Like at I think one of the best things that has happened to me is that I did not get into an IIT because that forced me to then think about what I want to, like what makes me, if I don't have an IIT tag, or if I don't have something so narrow minded, it forced me to have a broader goal in life, to think about how I can accept how I have potential and how I can use that. So, my entire college journey was about this. I always loved computer science. I loved it ever since I took it as an option subject in 11th. It was one of my favorites. I think a lot of the credit goes to my teacher and also my classmates.
Okay.
They made it extremely fun, and it was like a fun class. It was like how physical education classes is to a lot of people, that you would just go out and play. That was computer science for me. That I would just go out and play, and I would always be left in awe of like what C++ could do. And only the world awaits. We have Python and Java, and there's just so much more. But even C++ fascinated me so much, and that drive took me to college. And when I went to college, I learned web development. And I think that was the other second turning point where I learned that this is something I don't want to.
Okay.
I love C++.
So you are really different from very beginning of your college life. Yeah, I don't want to do web development. I want to do something, and you can say it. You want to play with the data.
Yeah. So that was basically the idea. I think web development everybody was doing, and I saw that everybody was really good at it. I just never found it very interesting. And I realized very quickly that there are so many people who are doing this so much better than me. So I better find something that I'm good at. And this is one small nugget of advice that one of my school teachers gave me, that school is a time to work on your weaknesses and college is a time to work on your strengths.
Okay.
So in college, I very quickly, instead of, trying to be great at everything, I tried a lot of things to find out what I like and what I can be good at. And that's how I sort of came across data science. It was very new even then. I think reading it in theory and statistics, I never really liked statistics, but when I learned it in the context of data science and the impacts, I think that was part of what I said, that impact is very important. What will I do with the statistical formula? It never interested me. But when I saw what I can do in data science using the statistical theories, then I got really interested in it.
So you get into the biggest and big picture of the data, how you can play with it, how you can imagine it, or you can say you can present it to the other people.
Yeah. And actually, what happened is I fell into the same loop which I was telling people not to do. Is I fell in love with the technology. I fell in love with stacks. I fell in love with data science, and I remember we had to build a project in our third year, and there was this one teacher I respected a lot, and he was doing his PhD in data science. So me and a couple of my friends, we went to him and proposed our third year project idea to him, and it was about just building a KNN in C++. Okay. And then my teacher asked it, but why are you building it? There is a Python package for it. And then we were like, we never expected that there would be a why. We thought that we'll say that we are going to do a very complex, difficult task, and he will say, wow, great, yes, do. And, and he will have so much respect and awe for us, like, oh, we're such smart kids. But instead, he challenged us to answer the why, that you can maybe solve this in C++, but why do you want to do? What is it going to solve? Exactly. Right? So, that I also give a lot of credit to that particular professor who nudged us, and every single time he would prepare so well to go and present to him, and he would just have like one or two very basic questions, and we'd come back feeling like, oh, we did not even study this properly, and that really forced us to understand the theory, understand the basics technically, but also when we're building a project, looking at the end user, that why we are doing this, what is the reason for understanding all this.
So we mostly go with the like why, what, and for whom you are doing all this. So my next question to you will be like, what do you think about generative AI in these the past 3 years? It is evolving a lot. As a data scientist, you know how to play with data, but what do you think about generative AI?
I only have very good things to say about Gen AI. I just think that any tool should be looked at as a tool and not something that we should fear or be scared of, because being scared or having that fear is not going to help us. AI is here and it's here to stay. It is in our favor if we learn to use it with us, right? So approach it with the curiosity of anything else, like how you would approach why college life is very different from student life, even though you're just studying it, but the life is drastically different. And why is that? You have to approach everything in your life with curiosity. I think Gen AI is one of those things. You have to approach it with curiosity. You have to try to use it in your daily life, and then also not lose sight of it. Don't be this person that who is using ChatGPT to do everything, and then once you are being asked anything about your work, that it's not wrong to use ChatGPT to write code or even do your homework. But it's problematic when somebody will pick up that homework and say that, okay, what was the idea? Why did you do this? Or like, what about this piece of work that you've created interests you? And then don't know anything, right? So that's a problem. As long as you're using it along with also having some knowledge, some information, and some inputs of your own, I think it's a very good.
So really, you make a very clear point. You have to be clear what you are using and why you are using. It's not only about doing prompting. You have to be clear about stuff. So next question will be a bit controversial, or you can say it may create controversy. How data scientists are using generative AI nowadays? Like, you guys are someone who is playing with data hell of a who did like either whether I talk about a big company or small company, data scientists are way above than normal AI engineer, I think. How you guys use generative AI?
I don't think it should create controversy, honestly. We should have a lot of transparency. It's like how one of my mentors suggested that when IDEs that we used to write code like VS Code and others, when they started auto completing, people were like, oh, everybody will forget how to write code. Everybody will forget syntax or things like that. And I think that's the fear we have for using generative AI. And I firmly believe that using it as a tool again and not just handing over your work to it. So if you're going to hand over your work to it, then it is scary and it puts you in a very sketchy situation that, okay, you are not of that much use to the organization. So, it questions your value addition. But as long as you have a value addition. So, I definitely use AI for a lot of things. One of my favorite things is that I ask it to write a respond to emails. I know how to do it, but as a technical person, I give a lot of focus time to work. And we have so many meetings through the day, and we then have to summarize notes, and then we have to communicate what we're doing today or what went on in this week, or just reaching out for networking or responding to some regular scheduled daily emails, etc. And that eats up a lot of the time, and it causes a lot of distraction. Like while I'm working, I'll get 4 emails and then have to respond, so then I have to context switch. So in that case, it's like it's a very, very helpful tool that I'll just write one line in very shabby English and I'll tell it that this is how I write, this is the tone that I want, this is the format that I want, and you please convey this message in this form. And then I'll obviously proofread it. Don't just say whatever ChatGPT has.
Yeah.
So use it.
My course is
Yeah.
a difficult situation, definitely.
Yeah. So yeah, using it for emails, using it for coming with some ideas, doing some quick POCs, like, okay, does this code will work, or maybe looking up, like using it as Stack Overflow sometimes, that, what is this error? So using it again, but not handing over your tasks, using it as a tool.
Okay. So next question will be a very normal one, or I will say it will be like more to know your experience of this hackathon, what you saw, what you feel like about the hackathons, and is this kind of hackathon really important in India to let the students grow at a faster pace with generative AI, and how generative AI is going to help them like in getting to get something very valuable out of it.
It's a very good question. I think I love hackathons. I love any environment which forces people to collaborate.
Okay.
I think hackathons are not just about ideas. I also feel it's a very good way to work with teams, because that's a very real life skill that you will always need. And I think the more you go into the professional world, you learn this, that almost always people think, unless you're like some exceptionally talented person, your skills are teachable and trainable to another person. But if you're an insufferable team member, that people just cannot work with you, or you're just somebody who's always speaking over other people, or not doing your work, or doing other people's work and micromanaging, or just any of those things, so then you're a potential bad hire for the org position. And I think hackathons are also a very good ground of working with teams, that somebody is doing something, somebody else is doing something. It's also very, very good ground of using the agile methodology. So sometimes maybe a lot of people have studied it, but they don't retain it, or they may not know that they're actually using that. But agile is basically this, right? Quickly thinking on, like, there's a user gap, what can we do? Build tasks, features, etc. Quickly assign that, okay, we want to accomplish this in like 2 to 3 weeks or 2 to 3 days, whatever's the timeline, and you want to quickly roll out a POC and test how this lands with the users. And that's agile methodology in a nutshell, and that's how most of the organizations are operating. So having this mindset that you have to think quickly and learn and fail fast, so that if you fail fast, you learn fast. So getting that mindset also, I think hackathons are really cool. And lastly, the most obvious reason is innovation. So that is definitely something which motivates and gives incentives to students to think. And when you are competing with more people, it brings a sense of healthy competition and it inspires you. So I really, really like that. With Gen AI, as you said, it's here, as I said, it's here to stay. So it will only help. It's like knowing computers. No matter which field you're in, you have to know how to use.
So, as I said, we at Simplify AI Tools are truly motivated and to do more innovation and to get more ideas from even from a small town or a student from a third tier college. So, at Simplify AI Tools, we even encourage speakers like you to have to be the part of it. So, it will be a privilege to have you over the Simplify AI Tools as a as a speaker, as a mentor for students. Have you ever explored Simplify AI Tools?
I saw the website and I explored a few of the offerings. It seemed very, very promising. And as the co-founder Anushka also explained to me that they are solving for a very interesting pain point, which is how do you bridge that gap between people who know that AI is a buzzword, it's here to stay, but they don't know where to start, what to even think, where to begin. Something as simple as having prompt banks, etc. Right? So it's a very, very good starter and introduction to AI for so many people, and it's a really, really important problem that is being solved.
Okay. So, last but I guess not the least question, you enjoyed the Build to Simplify Hackathon 1.0 right now. What if you are going to be a participant here in this hackathon, and what you will present to the jury members? Like, what type of project you will make if you were a college student?
I think as a college student, one of the most interesting pain points is solving for personal expenses. Okay. So something I think Splitwise kind of does it, but it only does for the things that you put on Splitwise. So what I would really like is some tool that can assess my monthly expenditure, categorize it, and kind of tell me my spendings, how I'm spending, where I'm spending, and where is my money going. Because I think as a college student, that was one of the most common problems that me and my friends would face, that you get some money at the beginning of the month and you'd feel so rich that like rose food court ja rahe hai or whatever, right? And then you spend so much money, and by the middle of the month you're like, where did all of it go? And then you have to explain to your parents that like, you're calling me, I need more money, and they're like, oh, but I sent, where is that money? And then it was very funny. One of my friends, her parents used to ask her to make an Excel of everything. That like, where did you spend this money? Tell me. And then once I know that okay, yes, all of the money has been accounted for, then we'll give you more money. So it was a very funny thing, but I think it was a very important financial lesson.
And this is really a very genuine problem. Even I face that. I call my mom every after I guess 10 days. Mom, I need some money. I spent all my money. And mom was like, bro, I gave you 3,000 and you just spent in 2 to 3 days, and now you are asking me again for the money. Where you spend? And I'm like, I don't know. I think I'm on food or on games. And my mom was like, boss, थोड़ा तो शर्म करो, कुछ तो अच्छा करो, कहीं तो expense manage करो, कब सीखोगे?
Yeah.
So yeah, your problem is definitely a genuine problem for specifically college students, and someone for like me, I will just very love to enjoy that project.
Yeah.
So thank you for being a part of this podcast. We have a quick questions, so if you don't mind. Okay. So Ritvika, AI in one word for you.
Tool.
Your favorite AI use case in daily life?
As I said, writing emails. It saves me so much time, or planning first draft of my travel itineraries, because I travel a lot, so it's helpful to have an itinerary.
Coffee or chai during late night coding?
Coffee.
Simplify AI tools over other platforms, or
I can't say any other platform here. Simplify AI.
so dream AI project you will love to walk over?
Dream AI project seems like a very big thing, but I generally feel that almost anything and everything that I find boring, I want to automate. So I think a dream AI project would be that to sort of be able to build any of the mundane tasks that I do, like it, and a lot of them are frankly household chores. Like living alone teaches you that managing your house is a big, huge thing. So something that can, one place where I can just manage all my groceries, my food, my routine for the day, like, help me plan my fitness routine, like just one place where I can solve for all the different things while tracking. So I think fitness and nutrition is a very important part of my life. So that could be a key. You can generate new exercises, weekly exercises. You can generate a new food menu, and then you can accordingly, that will be taken as an input, and your grocery list will be prepared, something like that. So something which automates an end-to-end like personal and professional life. So anything which can automatically give me a summary of my meetings or schedule emails, and kind of get it. So something like that, something of a super app, because I think solving for niche problems is something that is already being done. So something like a super app would be really cool, that you
Sure, of multiple application and a single application will be your dream project.
Yeah, like my actual assistant, that I go there, all my personal professional needs are automated and taken care of it.
So, a myth about AI you want to burst.
Yeah, I think which I've been just saying that it's here to replace us. No, kind. So it cannot replace us. It can definitely optimize things, which then sort of decides whether you are going to be in that race or not. So upskilling is very, very important. You cannot fall behind, but if as long as you have anything of value to add, you're not replace.
Well, it's really a very quick, fast, and interesting quick fire round. So Pritika, thank you so much for to be the part of this first ever Build to Simplify AI hackathon and Build to Simplify AI podcast. We will love to stay in touch with you over multiple podcasts and to know more about data science, AI, and everything you are doing. It's really great. And thank you so much for being the part of Build to Simplify AI podcast.
Thank you so much for having me over. I love being a part of both the hackathon at the podcast.
Thank you so much. We will love to have you over the Simplify items.